I'm tired of people not understanding my efforts. I'm tired of people not appreciating my efforts. So I'm thinking you two out there in the same boat. When it comes to relationships, when it comes to children, when it comes to being a mother, being a father in the business world, efforts. I'm not understanding why people don't understand and appreciate
That's
it.
right. And that's what we're going to talk about in this episode. Stay tuned.
Welcome to the Dub Tre show. Once again, thank you everyone for chiming in and listening to our show. Don't forget, send us an email, dubandtre@gmail.com. Definitely follow us on IG and Facebook. Go to our website, www.dubandtre.com. I definitely want to talk about effort and talk about many different levels of how it needs to be appreciated. Why is it never enough? Why do so many people, have to compare and look at effort almost in a negative sense? It's almost like I'm looking at what you're not doing versus what you are doing. And, in relationships, which is big, there's always somebody saying, hey, you should be doing this or you should be doing that instead of appreciating the effort that they're getting. Now, I'm not going to say that you should allow yourself to get taken advantage of. That's where the segue comes in with the
Right,
toxic
right,
relationships, right? I'm talking about if you understand that the person that you're dealing with has goodwill and kind-hearted and you know that they're making an effort and you just choose to say that effort isn't good enough, that's an issue. That's an issue, and I think we should be addressing that when it comes to relationship side. And of course, we can tackle a lot of other things when it comes to this, when it comes to children and marriage and relationships as well. So
I agree, man. The funny thing with effort is that it's not results based. Effort isn't about whether you succeed or you fail. It's about the attempt. And I think that's what happens in at least relationships is that
mm,
people in general, both men and women, look at effort as like a transaction to get to a result. And they don't care about the transaction. They just care about the result. So
right.
if you're a person that judges your significant other by pass and fail, then you'll never see the effort, whether they pass or fail. Right? Whatever it is, whatever your expectation is, if they meet it, you're not going to see the effort because you're just looking at the result. If they don't meet it, you're not going to see the effort because you're just looking at the result. And I think what people don't understand or either miss is that effort is a fair representation of what's really in someone's heart. At least that's what I think.
Hmm.
Because you can't control the result of everything that you put effort into because that's just how it is. Some things just happen beyond your control. You know what I mean? There's a lot of things that we don't have control of that gets in the way of a result we want to provide a significant other or at work or our kids or whatever it is. You know what I'm saying? But the effort comes from your heart. Literally, the attempt, the trying part comes from your heart. That's the part that counts.
I got a question about that, though. So, what if somebody's telling you that you're not making a good enough effort? How do you handle? How do you respond to something like that when somebody tells you you are not making a good
Mm,
enough effort? For me, that looks like someone is trying, they have a mindset where they're trying to dictate that outcome or determine that outcome in which
right.
what you were speaking about. So
Yeah.
the big question. How do you handle something like that? What's the who wins in this situation?
Right.
Who benefits? For me, I don't see anybody benefiting in that type of situation because you find yourself going into this zone of requirements, but not in a
That's
loving
right.
and a caring way. So you have somebody saying, your efforts, because I've heard that before when it comes to several different
Yeah,
types of situations, children, friends, family,
absolutely.
spouses. All we all have fell victim to feeling or saying that this person's effort is not enough.
And that's so that's one of the challenges is who determines your level of effort? Is it you or is it the person who you're giving the effort for? That's the first thing.
Right.
And I think that's the first challenge. The second challenge is I think it's weird to assume that the person that at least in a relationship, so I'll take relationships, right? Your spouse, your boyfriend, your girlfriend, you have to assume or understand they have your best interest at heart. I mean, I don't know any other way how you can be in a
Right.
relationship with someone and not think that they don't have your best interest at heart and not think that they want to please you and
Right.
not think that they want to hit all those marks for you. Like I'm assuming that that's a general thing that you should already know about the person you're with. So with that being said,
Right.
if you believe that, then you should already believe that that person is trying. They're giving the effort, essentially,
Essentially.
right? I think where we mess up is when we jump to conclusions where the person assumes that it shouldn't take this much effort to do what I'm asking you to do. When you try to put a meter or a measure on the amount of effort it should take the other person to give you the results you want, that's where we start messing up. Because in our minds, when we go, I don't understand why you couldn't do this. It shouldn't have been that hard to do, right?
Right. That's the big issue for the person that's providing the effort, because now that meter or that person counting is saying you should have done this within a certain amount of time, even to the minute or to the hour. Let's say somebody wants, like, loves responsiveness, or somebody wants to be called back within a certain amount of time. I think I even heard uh, a video where Busta Rhymes has said if you don't respond to his call at a certain amount of time,
Yeah,
he cut you off. He don't even deal
right.
with you. So when you having somebody kind of dictating that and counting, I think for the person that's giving the effort, I think it turns them down. I don't think it's going to
No,
turn them up.
no,
And if it does turn them up, it's only going to be for a temporary moment in time, because that person's going to continue to dictate. They're going to continue to dictate each and every time until the person that is giving the effort has said, you know what,
yeah,
I'm done. I'm not going to do it anymore. And I have a saying that I always use, because you said something that caught my thought when you said the person starts to count or what that effort looks like. They start to count how many times she didn't see you, how many times you didn't see her, how many times, whatever it may be. You said I love you, because we in the relationship example, right? My motto for that, and this might not be for everybody. This is just for me. Once you start counting on things that have negative impact and have negative value, you've already lost that situation. And when I say lost, I mean you've lost the possibility of getting something good out of it, because you're already looking at it in a negative perspective, instead of appreciating when this person comes around, or when that person makes that call, or when that person takes you out, or when that person buys you roses, or when that person says I love you, or
that's right.
whatever it may be. It's more about the things that you don't do versus the things that you do do.
It is, and like for example, let's say a guy gets a grocery list from his lady. She says, "Hey, I want you to go to the grocery store and get me these, get these things." He comes back from the grocery store without three things on the list. She immediately
Hmm.
gets pissed, saying, "I gave you a task and you failed it." Right? Regardless of what word she
Yep.
uses, the full list, the task was not completed because you forgot three things. Right? But let's just say It was 50 items on the grocery list. He couldn't find the 3 items, and he even asked the store manager and the store employees to help him find the items. He spent more time trying to find those 3 items than he did getting the other 47 items, right? Now, when I
Mm-hmm.
explain the back end of that, that's what the effort is. But a lot of people don't get to that part because the person who is looking at it as a fail and pass, they don't allow the person to get to that part. They don't get to see, oh, well, I didn't know that you spent 45 extra minutes looking for these 3 items and that you got the store manager involved
Right.
and that they went into the back of the stock room and you called and checked another store. You did all these things that I never got the chance to explain to you that I did because you immediately judged a pass and fail based on what I didn't do because I didn't bring these 3 items home and everything else you automatically stamped it with a fail. And I gave that example
Right.
as a means of saying everything has a why. Like there's a reason why everything fails. There's a reason why everything goes the way it's supposed to go. But if you're not a person that
Right.
asks someone, why did this not happen? Or why did not get this result that I was looking for? Give the person the chance to explain why. Then maybe you'll see the effort. You'll get the understanding that maybe it's things out of their control that is the reason why the result wasn't the way it was supposed to have been in your eyes. And then you won't hit the person with that, oh, you failed, stamp, whatever that looks like. Because I know for me, in the back end, if I know I've put forth a good amount of effort for something and the person who I'm giving the effort for seems very unappreciative just of the effort in general, all they looking at is the result, then it's going to make me not want to put forth the effort anymore. Like if this is a pass fail thing, I'd rather just fail off the jump. I don't even want to take part in it.
I completely agree. And I think people need to understand that there is a there is a fine line between being taken advantage of and treating someone as if someone is taking advantage, because these scenarios can be talked about in the same way, like as a toxic friendship or a toxic relationship, right? Someone just taking advantage. And we're not talking about that. We're talking about people that are making a true, honest effort, but it's being perceived that the effort isn't enough. It's being assumed that there wasn't a true effort made because this person is assuming that you didn't get those 2, 3 items. That was an easy thing. I'm not understanding why you didn't do it. They're on aisle 7, 6, and 2.
Right.
That
Right.
that you've been down that aisle with me several times. I don't understand why you don't know where it is. So I completely understand that, and I completely get that you have to. It's really sad that people nowadays have to get into that explanation of why the results are what they are, and you find yourself feeling like you have to answer to someone about
Yeah.
your effort that you don't even have to do.
That's right. Or at least you shouldn't have to do. Because again, going back to what I said already, that person should know already the type of person you are by your character, right? If I've always shown a particular person that I care, that I put forth the effort, that I'm here to try to make things better and not worse, that's all they should need to know
Hmm.
if things don't go a certain way, if I'm involved in it. Then instead of saying or treating me at least like, oh, you failed, it should be, oh, tell me what went wrong. Tell me what happened. Like, because there's still a why there. There's always a why. Again, there's always a why something fails. There's always a why something goes the way it's supposed to go. It's just we don't always talk about the why of when it's working, right? We don't when things are going where it's supposed to go. We don't talk about that why. But what people have to understand is that there's always a why.
There's
There's
always a
always a why, right? Always. Yeah,
I
but
like
that's
that.
what the conversation has to be about. It has to be about the why it went well or why it failed, because then that removes that judgment of pass fail. you did what I asked or what I expected, or you didn't do what I expected. It kind of removes that from it. You know what I'm saying? And I'm
Mm-hmm.
talking about adults. Obviously, parents and children, that's a little weirder. A little that's a different challenge. But when it comes to grown folks and relationships, you have to start understanding the why behind what's going on.
Yeah. I mean, when we go into the next, I think we can go out, I'll even go into that when it comes to parents, because I had a child that was one of my children was raised outside of my
Yeah.
house. And that was the thing. That was the norm. It was always never
Mm-hmm.
enough. It was never enough. It was never enough
Right.
effort. And then there's too much effort. And then there's not enough effort. And you know, from a man's perspective, a father's perspective, you find yourself in a situation where people seem to be able to make these judgment calls, and people to be able to determine that my efforts are not
Mm-hmm.
worthy because they deem it not worthy, because they may say, oh well, he has this and he has that and he's doing this and he's doing that. And then someone they bring out that measuring stick and they say, hey, this is what you need to do. Okay. So then when you do it, oh no, you got another measuring stick. You need to
Right.
do this. And then you got another one. And then you
Mm-hmm.
got another one. So then you find, children and even parents can get into situations and toxic situations where, you know, kids are very unaware. They're unaware of yeah, they just that once again, it goes back to what you said.
They
They
just see the
just see the
result.
result and then they want more of it,
Yep.
you know. You throw a party for your daughter or your son, and you spend all this money, and the next day he on something else. He want the new
Mm-hmm.
J's, or he want this, and there's no thank you, there's no this, there's no appreciation for the parents'
That's right.
effort. So I see that a lot in kids. I see that in a lot of kids in our community where kids are not being appreciative to their parents about the efforts that they
That's
make
right.
day to day. And when I say effort, I'm talking about the clothes you want to wear, the school you want to go to, the events that you want to go to, the game you want to play, from A to Z.
I think the sheer effort of how parents have to move their lives around so that their kids can do things. The parents who have children in sports, who have children doing all these activities in different schools, you all know you have to rearrange your schedule all the time based around your
All the
children's
time.
schedule. And that's what you should do as a parent. So I'm not saying, gold star. You should get a gold star, but that's what we should be doing, right? But at the same time,
Right.
that day you tell your child they can't go or they can't do or you can't take them, they don't understand the effort you've been putting in all those times before, to
Right.
make those things happen. And that's a difficult thing to
I,
teach kids of a certain age. Like if you got a 16, 17, 18-year old, that's very easy to talk about. But you got a 6-year old or 7-year old, I would say anything between, 4 and 12 maybe. That's a really hard thing to manage. Is them understanding the effort you put in to make things happen, for them to understand that when you can't, that they shouldn't act a damn fool.
I agree, and I think us as parents, because I have three kids, but we should definitely ensure that at those ages, at those tough ages that you said, that we teach them how to appreciate
Hmm.
people's effort. Because as soon as you give somebody something, the kids don't even say
No,
thank you anymore. They will come up and you can give a kid $100, $50, 20, whatever it is. They'll take it and they'll run off. They wouldn't even say thank you. I appreciate it. So definitely we
adults don't say
yeah.
thank you anymore. You know how many doors I've held for grown ass people, men and women, men and women. I hold the door and they just walk right through.
Yeah, yep. Wouldn't even. I did that the other day. I had two women and a gentleman behind me, and his lady. When he came through, he said thank you. But two women before I opened the
Yeah.
door for him,
Yeah, they just
they didn't say
walk
anything.
right through.
They just walked.
Right. Again, the
Yep.
all they see is, oh, the dude holding the door. Okay, big deal. But it's the effort. It's small things, man. But kids don't say thank you no more because adults don't say thank you anymore.
Yeah, yeah. So I agree. I mean, we can't uh, allow our children to grow up to be so inappreciative that they become
Right.
toxic people, because that's what's going to happen. They'll be the person that we talked about in the toxic relationship series. And I guess the same thing will go for friendships when it comes to an effort. If you have somebody that's doing it big, and then you have a friend and he gives you, and you think, let's say one of your friends is an NBA player or something, and I've had a situation where, I'm not going to say the name of the player, but somebody from here had came back and made an effort to do something, and the whole community was mad because they felt like it wasn't enough.
Because they was counting his dollars. Right.
Yeah, they
Yeah.
would count his money. See, and that's what goes back to my motto. Once you start counting, you already lost. So you counting his money, and then also you truly don't really know
Yeah.
what he did. You just know what somebody told you. And that's what most people do. You really don't know what it is. You just know what somebody told you, that somebody told you. You don't know what this guy did. So yeah, I definitely think that effort is something that needs to be appreciated regardless of what level it comes from, because you need to understand the why, like you said. And when you understand that why, you can find out that maybe that little bit of effort, because of what that person's going through during
Mm-hmm.
that week, during that time, maybe that little bit of effort really was
Yeah.
difficult to
Yeah.
get through. Some people don't like to disclose some of the things that they're going through in their life, whether it be financially, emotionally. And, somebody could be going through something internally
Yeah.
within them, but they still picked up the phone and made the
That's
effort to
right.
that other person
Yeah.
in the midst of the chaos. And then you turn them down because it
Mm-hmm.
wasn't enough.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's a no-go, man. You can't.
I think that happens more today than it probably ever has, because we live in a microwave society, man. We live in a society now where everybody wants everything just because they want it, and they want it as fast as they can have it, which it challenges the whole idea behind accepting people's effort for things. It's like, if I can't get it right now and how I want it,
Yeah,
then I can't rock with you.
I hear a
And,
lot of
and,
that.
and it's not fair.
It's not fair. That's right. Because these folks don't live in your world. They don't live by your rules. They don't even have
Hmm.
your train of thought. It all sounds logical until it's you that's being told that your effort
Yeah.
isn't good enough. And I think that's the only time where people will say, "Oh, you know what? I know
Right.
how that feels." But when you have these things like, "I'm not going to deal with no woman that unless she does this, this, this," or "I'm not going to deal with no man unless he does
Hmm.
this, this, this," you put yourself in a box, and and most times the situation doesn't end up what you
Yeah.
expect it to end up, because again, you put requirements on something that's truly supposed to be an
Right.
organic thing. Effort is supposed to be an organic thing. It's not supposed to be something that's dictated. If I'm making an effort to help someone, it shouldn't be dictated by the other person.
Absolutely.
It's just that simple.
And the other
So,
danger about being in that box of pass and fail is you miss all the other things that person's doing, because you're concentrating on specific things you want them to
there you
do,
go.
that you're missing all the other things they put forth effort into doing, and actually providing results on.
Right.
Like,
Exactly.
you're missing it.
Exactly.
And I definitely want to say to everyone, understanding everyone must have is that effort is never going to be equal. There's no such thing. So if anyone ever
Exactly.
tells you that anything is 50-50, they're lying to you. At least when it comes to You know what I mean? At least when it comes to um non-monetary things. The only thing you can for sure split 50-50 is a bill. If our bill is $10, Trey can pay 5, I can pay 5. That's 50-50,
Right,
right?
right,
Now, leading up to us hanging out, he might have had to figure out where we were going to hang out. He might have had to call the place to make the reservation. He might have had to make sure that the reservation was at a time that I could make it. The effort level of
right,
getting us there is going to be lopsided, but that's in all things. So I'm saying that to say, don't use your effort to judge someone else's when that other person is definitely trying. Now, like Trey said, don't get
facts.
taken advantage of. If you feel like you're doing everything, you feel like you're putting in all the effort for everything, and they're literally not doing anything, that's a different case, right?
Right. And you should take
Yeah,
action
absolutely.
accordingly, or remove yourself
Yeah,
from that situation. And I think most people can distinguish those folks, whether you have someone who in your quote unquote in that person's quote unquote eyes, they have little effort from their perspective, but they're kind hearted and you know they're goodwill, and they've always been supportive of whatever it is that you're
yeah,
doing as a friend or as someone that you're in a
right.
relationship with, versus someone who is clearly a
Uh huh.
selfish individual that clearly shows that they not only don't provide effort for you, but they're like that with everyone. They're like that with all parties involved. So you should definitely be able to identify and distinguish
Yeah,
who's who, but don't put yourself in that box
absolutely.
because you will set yourself up because eventually that person's going to feel the neglect. They're not gonna
Yeah,
want to deal with that. The perspective of the person who's giving more effort and the person that's giving less effort, it doesn't make you right because
more. Yeah,
you're
that's right.
putting in more. It doesn't make you right. You know, it just means that you're putting in more effort at this particular time. And guess what? That's how you become wholehearted. That's how giving, sharing, doing the things that most can't do. That's what a blessing is. That's being a blessing in
Right.
somebody else's life. So if you're looking at this person in that manner, then maybe it's you that's not the blessing and it's
Hmm.
the other person because again, you should have a perspective of, you know what? I appreciate the effort
Mm-hmm.
that you're giving. And furthermore, that person may even, as they get better at doing certain things, they may
Right.
grow with that. But you start counting what they're doing and putting them into this box, you're going to kill a relationship before it even got a
100%.
chance to grow.
And if you have a problem identifying the difference between the person who is clearly not making an effort and the person who is making an effort but maybe not getting the results, all you have to do is ask them why the result wasn't the way you expected it to be and give them space to answer. I'm talking about before you judge them on failing, before you make them feel inadequate, before you make them feel like they ain't doing enough, just ask them, why wasn't you able to do this? And let them explain. Sometimes in that explanation, you'll
Yeah,
find out, oh, you really didn't try at all. Or you'll find out, wow, you actually really did try and you just didn't get the result that I asked for. But thank you for trying that hard,
right.
right? But it starts from a place of communication. You can't jump to assumptions because the result wasn't what you wanted to be, that the person didn't care enough to put the effort into it. You know what I'm saying? Because I think that happens more than anyone wants it to happen, right? You assume because the person didn't make the meeting because when you wanted them to make it, they didn't come pick you up when you wanted them to, or they didn't make the dinner reservations at the time you wanted them to, or whatever it is. You assume that they didn't care. They don't care because they didn't do it.
They
Nah, that's not what it is, right? It's not that they don't care. Maybe something happened and they couldn't.
create a whole storyline.
Oh, snap! And normally,
You don't care. You don't
Yep.
love me.
Exactly. You don't appreciate me and my
All of
efforts because you can't do what I asked you to do. I mean, it could go real deep with that. You know what I mean?
all the way. It's gonna go all the way left. It's gonna go
All the
all the
way.
way left, and that you hit the head on that one. Like, yeah,
Yeah.
that's big.
You know, what people have to understand is like trying to please someone is almost worse than just saying no from the beginning. Putting forth the effort to try is damn near worse than just saying no, because at least when you say no, there's no bar for them to move for you to give them a result because they already know you're not trying.
Right,
You know what I
right.
mean?
Yeah, 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 yeah.
So
That's
yeah,
crazy.
it is. It's wild, right? Sometimes just saying no is way easier than trying. And that's terrible to say, but it really is.
It's sad to say, and I'm gonna be honest that I've actually had to do that. I've actually had to say no because of the fact that I knew that I wasn't going to get the appreciation for
Yeah.
making the effort.
Yeah.
It was going to be much more work to make the effort and continuously have to answer to those that dictatorship about why didn't you get the result. I say, you know what, I'm just going to
Just
not
not
do
do it. That's right.
it.
That's right. I'm gonna relieve myself of even trying to give effort to this because I know if I don't hit this mark,
Because if you're not being appreciated,
it's a waste
yeah,
of my time.
if you're not being appreciated, it's a waste
Yeah.
of my time.
Yeah.
So, and I definitely think that effort should be something that is talked about more often. So that's why we brought it up. And we could take it into a lot of different things. So we talked about the friendship, we talked about the
Right.
relationship aspect of it, and we talked about
Parenting. Yeah.
parenting.
There's another part of this is there is a place where you should be more results based than effort based. That's when it comes to
Mm,
your own goals and your own things you want to achieve. Because there are a lot of people who
you
hide
know,
behind effort as to the reason why they aren't achieving things. Like they act like they're putting forth a lot of effort to achieve something.
they say, well,
Personally,
I'm
I'm
trying.
trying.
I'm
Right.
trying.
You know what I'm saying? I'm trying, but you're really not trying. In that scenario, when it comes to personal achievements, maybe changing something that you need to change about yourself or growing as a person or something that affects you personally, that is something where the accomplishment definitely should outweigh the effort. Like there is no limit to the effort you should put in to improving yourself. There's no result you should never not meet when it comes to yourself. Period. You should
I
never
agree.
fall short. You should never
Yeah,
fall short on yourself. If you trying
that's
to,
right.
like I said, you trying to change, you trying to lose weight, you trying to get off a habit, whatever it is, man, there is no excuse for not
Yeah,
reaching that result because you should put maximum effort into yourself all the time. Period. There's no trying. You do it.
yeah. You got to just do it. I agree.
You know what I
Well
mean?
said.
So in that scenario, effort doesn't matter. Don't give a damn about your effort if it's something that is about improving you. You need to just do it. Get the result. That's results based. You
Hmm.
know?
And then you can have people that say, well, you may have a gentleman who's dating a lady. He may say, why not? I want a woman that's going to give me that same result. But I want her to have that same effort for herself.
Right.
I want her to give me that same effort for
Yeah.
me. And to that, I say, if you have someone that can do that, it sounds
Sounds great.
good. But like you said earlier, it's never
It's
equal.
not. It is never going to be. And if you're a person that runs around talking about how you're putting in more effort than the other person, you may be. You very well may be. But that person could be putting forth the maximum effort that they can put into whatever it is, because that's the whole point of a relationship wise, at least that's the whole point of it. The whole point of it is to take what I'm great at and to take what you're great at and blend them together, and it's not always just one thing. I could be really good at two things and she could be really good at 10 things. her 10 to my 2. Yes, that's unfair, right? And I'll try to catch up. But at the end of it all, that's the whole point of a relationship.
But you know what that represents to some people? That they love you more than you love them. That is the key when you talk about this effort thing and you talk about it being very unequal. A lot of people will equate that to love,
Yeah.
caring. They'll even equate it to respect, and feel as if they're justified in that analogy. They will actually say, I don't feel like you love me or respect me because you're not putting in the effort that I'm putting in,
Yeah.
that I
Yeah.
want you to put in. And to actually say those things, I don't truly think people think about that. I don't think people really truly think about those type of statements. But that's what people say all the time. Well, she doesn't love me because she doesn't put in the effort like I want her to. Or he doesn't love me because he doesn't put in the effort like I want,
Right.
like I want him to,
Right.
you know?
And
So
even
yeah.
even still, I believe that people who say things like that are still looking at results. They're not looking at effort. I'll give you the example that I have for that one, I guess. So you have a young lady and a guy's trying to date her. And the guy, he has a low paying job. He's going to school. He's got some things going on, positive things going on in his life, or bad, whatever, right? He's a dude, don't make that much money, but he's trying to do something really nice for this young lady. And
Mm-hmm.
he goes out, he buys a bouquet of roses, whatever, right? He takes her out to dinner, maybe not to the best restaurant, but maybe he takes her to Outback. Let's say he takes her to Outback, buys her some flowers, and that pretty much is their date. And let's say through all of that, he spent $100 on roses. He spent about $80 at Outback. So total, let's say he spent $180, $200, right?
Mm-hmm.
And for him, that's money he really had to save because he doesn't make that much money. Now, depending on the type of woman
Mm-hmm.
that is, she might not be very impressed by that. Now, let's say this same woman has another guy trying to catch her attention, and this dude makes $250K, $300K a year. Now, not only does he
Right.
buy her 1 dozen of roses, he buys her 3. Right? He don't take her
Mm-hmm.
to Outback. He take her to the best steak joint, in the city, right? 5-star
Five
joint, right?
star.
He dropped, that 250 on a meal. You know what I'm saying? Now,
Mm-hmm.
results based will say, oh no, the dude who bought her the 3 dozen roses and took her to the high class restaurant won that. But what people don't understand is that was easy for him because he has the
Right.
money to do it. That was easy. He did not put any effort to buying you 3 dozen roses and taking you to that 5-star restaurant because he has the money to do it. It's disposable money for him. The
Exactly.
dude who bought you 1 dozen and
That's
took you
right.
to Outback, if he working at Walmart or not making that much money, that's challenging, right?
Right. He struggled. He struggled to get that money together.
His effort, that dude's effort was far more than the dude who did, the later. But that's not how people think about those two kinds of people. They think about the results, right? And I'm not saying settle for the Outback guy or anything like that, but people, y'all have to dig more into what's happening, what people are doing for you in their own situations, because that makes things mean so much more when you understand what's behind what people are doing. Money is nothing to people with money.
I've always said that if you put 5, 10 guys at a bar and you dress 5 up with results and you dress the other 5 that look like they don't have any results, the guys that look the part and have the disposable income, they could be
Yeah,
complete jerks. But the real men could be the guys that don't look the part because, like you said, people are looking for these results. And you could do, women it could be the same thing for women as well. But I definitely think that you hit it on the head, really identifying what real
yeah,
effort looks like and how that gentleman had to move money around, probably go into
yeah,
his
exactly.
savings account and say, I really like this girl. I'm gonna go get her some roses. I can't take her to I'm gonna do Outback, and she probably went home and threw that number away, deleted that brother,
Right. You know
deleted
what I
that
mean?
brother.
This dude took me to Outback. You know what I mean? And then you have that conversation from the guy's perspective. She has that conversation with him, and when he says to her, "I'm trying, like I'm really trying," right? You don't know what, like, I'm trying, like, but she doesn't understand what that
Yeah,
means, because what he's saying is, I had to save money to buy those flowers. I had to save money to take you to Outback. I had to save money to make sure I got, I don't own a car, maybe. I don't know. I had to save money to make sure I could put gas in my car to come pick you up. I had to save money to buy this new outfit because I don't buy clothes like that. I went and bought this
right,
outfit just for this date. So I can impress you. You know
right.
what I mean?
And that's being honest, having that honest conversation, because it's sad that you have to even
Right.
have that. It's sad that you even have to explain yourself
Yeah.
in that
Yeah.
way, because that's a sense of humbleness. You got to It's somebody you don't even know. You don't even know, essentially, but somebody you don't even know, and you have to explain your whole process of your effort, and even still,
Still might not be enough.
it still might not be enough, So, that's a good point, and to the woman who was on the date, in her eyes, she's talking to everybody saying, this other guy, he made an amazing effort to do what he
Right.
did. He swept me, he took me to the 5-star restaurant. He bought me, he didn't buy me a dozen roses. He bought me those expensive roses. They last all year. Them
Right.
$400
Yep.
roses.
Yep. And that was easy because he has it. No effort
It
at
was
all.
easy.
Didn't require any effort. It don't take no effort to spend money when you got money to spend. And the reason I keep harping on that as an
Yeah,
example is because I feel like the women, at least in today's society, judge men by what they're able to spend and what they're able to buy. It's very heavily money based. And what women need to understand is that men with money don't have a problem spending money. That's easy. You make it too easy. That's way easy.
and we can throw another dynamic into that example. Let's say the guy who made that major effort and didn't make a lot of money. Let's say he had 2 kids,
Mm,
and it was his week with the kids.
right.
And let's say the guy that spent all the money, let's say he doesn't have any
None.
kids. So then there's a
Hmm.
comparison, right? There's a comparison when you're dealing with effort and what you think is effort and what's not effort. And I think that's the big thing here, like identifying what true
Right.
effort
Right.
looks like. So now if you throw in children, every second is
Hmm.
magnified,
Absolutely.
because that's time away from a child. That's time away. So if he's able to maneuver that and to work that process out, that's a major thing. Whereas though for the other guy, he doesn't have to worry
Yeah.
about that type of thing.
100%. And to bring that home, what I want people to get out of that scenario is not really about the money. It's the understanding that the guy who put in
Yeah.
all that effort is the guy who's going to put in all the effort from that day forth, because he's already doing
Right.
it. He's already putting effort in wholeheartedly.
Even if you got a zero result, he's still putting in the effort. And that's the part I think is the most difficult part for people to understand. When there's no results, but there's still effort being made. People don't understand that. People can't see it, they can't touch it, they can't feel it. The only person that sees it, touches, or feels it is the person that's making the effort.
That's right.
For example, if I'm making an effort every day to do a particular thing and it doesn't happen, like you said before, if the results don't happen to the rest of the world, I'm not making an effort. It's just like at the job, when you go to your job, until you provide the
Hmm.
data that shows the results, you can't prove that you've been making the effort when it comes to what you've been
Yeah,
doing
you're
with your
right.
time.
And in the workplace, that's really where effort gets challenging. If you have
Yeah,
leadership, or if you're a leader and you have a team of people and you judge your people by results versus effort, you'll probably lose some really good people,
that's
because
right.
I'm pretty sure
That's
everyone
right.
has seen the scenario where you have a really good person on the team, a really good hard worker, and they've put in this effort with minimal results. And then you have a person who isn't a very hard worker. I wouldn't call them lazy, but they're not the hard worker person. And maybe
Hmm.
to no fault of theirs, they get some amazing result, right? Who do you
Hmm.
congratulate? Who do you look at as a person to speak highly of? The person who put in all this effort but didn't get the result, or the person who didn't put in this much effort who just happened to get a great result? And neither one of them are responsible for the why, because there's things in both of those scenarios that they can't control. Again,
Right.
effort is not about being able to control the whole scenario. It's just about what you're putting into it. That's why effort fails, because shit happens that you can't control. So if you're a person and your job is leading teams of people or being responsible for people, I would challenge you to ask yourself whether or not you judge your people on effort or if you judge them on results. Whichever one that is, you should tell them that. They should know what your bar is set on. Your bar is set on effort and not results, or vice versa, whatever it is. But I think you'll be much safer judging your people by effort.
I agree. And also based on that scenario as well, it shows a level of consistency. The person that's making the effort didn't get a good result this time for whatever reason. That person 9 times out of 10 is going to give you that same effort
Every single
every
time.
time. That's a character. That's a character base where this person is just a hard worker, and they're just going to work hard at whatever it is they do, even if it doesn't produce a valuable result, or impactful result.
Yeah,
Great
yeah.
point.
I guess a question: in any situation, whether it's work or home or whatever it is, what do you do when a person's effort really isn't enough for you anymore? If you're at work and you have that coworker and the effort just isn't cutting it anymore, or in a relationship, the effort isn't cutting it anymore, right? Or whatever the situation is, what do you do when you feel like you want more, right? You want more results that the person's effort isn't giving you. Because at the end of the day, we all want some kind of result in our favor. That's just what it is. You know what I mean? We all have needs and wants that we have. But what do you
Right.
do when a person consistently misses the mark, even when they're putting in effort, but they consistently miss the mark?
Ooh,
That puts you in a very difficult place, and that's a question I've been trying to answer for myself, that I kind of quite haven't answered for myself yet. You know what I mean?
yeah. So
Because that's a
yeah,
hard one.
for me, I definitely think it's a tough question. But ultimately, if at some point, the person that's not getting the results based on the effort, because this person could be making 1,000% effort every day and every night, and it's just not happening. The results aren't happening for the other person. So for the other person, what do you do if that effort and that result is not matching up to something that you think you need or something that you would like? What's going to happen is that you're going to start to resent that
Mm,
person. You're going to start to feel like this person, even at some point you're going to feel like you're being taken
right.
advantage of, because in your mind, or in the person's mind, this is what's happening. I'm just
Right.
looking at my
Counting.
clock. I'm just looking at my clock. I'm looking at my clock and I'm waiting for
Right.
the result. Week 2, I'm waiting for the result. Week 3, 6 months, a year, 2 years, 3 years, 5 years,
Yeah.
10 years,
Right.
20 years. I'm still waiting for the
Right.
results. So everybody has a clock.
Yeah, that's right.
Everybody has a clock, and everybody's
Mm-hmm.
clock is different. For some people, if we're talking about men and women, for some women, that clock may be the first
Yeah.
couple weeks. There may be other women who say, I really think this guy got it going on. I might like him. I'm gonna give him 6 months. I'm gonna give him this. People put these clocks on in time, and most times I would say time. You shouldn't do that. But when it comes to your own happiness, and it just comes to a point where you have to have that conversation with the other person and say, hey, I understand that you're telling me you're putting in this effort, but it's
Yeah.
not working for me.
Right.
I would, and that's a tough conversation to have, because guess what? You may find out later on that somebody got the results that you should have got.
Right.
So so, so be careful out there. So be careful out
Oh
there.
man.
But it's no
Right.
right answer. It's no. I don't believe it's a right answer. I think everybody is different, and I definitely think that the person who is providing more results than the other one, that person has to really have some confidence and faith in the relationship in order for it to
Mhm.
survive. Because if you don't, and you start counting and you start looking
Right.
at that clock, it's dead. It's dead.
I like that. You're absolutely right. Everybody has a clock,
Everybody got a clock.
and everything that fails and passes has a why.
That's right.
Yeah.
Yeah. If you didn't learn nothing, you better go find out them whys, and identify and find out what your own clock is first. And then find out if
You
you
might
if
be on
you
the
on the
clock,
clock.
right? You might be on the damn hot seat. You
You
don't
might
even
be on
know it.
the clock.
But about to get traded.
That's another thing. People are being evaluated and
Mhm.
analyzed and put on the clock,
They
and they
don't even
don't
know.
even know it. Nobody's even
That's right.
said anything to, which is a whole nother conversation. But
I think it fits this conversation because if we're talking about effort, people need to have that conversation if they feel like another person in whatever situation isn't providing the effort that they think they should be providing. Because either that's going to do one or two things. That's going to either let the other person know, okay, I need to step my game up and start putting in more effort in XYZ, or it's going to let you know, wow, this person has been putting in effort and I just haven't been seeing it. Right? It's going to be one of those two things.
right, exactly.
You know what I
Yeah,
mean?
I agree. I
Because
agree.
9 times out of 10, it's about results. And if you're not seeing results, you assume the person isn't putting forth the effort, which isn't always the truth.
Right.
That doesn't always match. So communication, I think you guys have heard us say that many times in our previous episodes, right?
Right.
Communication. It's something Trey just said. It happens all the time. People are on the clock and they don't even know it. They being evaluated on things. They
Yep.
don't even know it. Right? If you're a person that is in that situation where you have either a significant other, a boyfriend, girlfriend, a coworker, whatever, and you put them on a clock of evaluation, and if they don't meet this result by XYZ time, I'm moving on or I'm changing, they need to know that.
They need
And
to
if you're
know.
a person who sits around and says, well, why should I have to tell you XYZ? Well,
Oh
well,
man.
most people leave their mind reading tool in the trunk of their car, right? That
Right.
little device where you can read other people's minds. Most of us leave that in the trunk of the car, and like we never pull it out because it doesn't exist. If you're not communicating what you're thinking to someone else about their efforts and their results that they're providing for you, you cannot expect them to meet your effort level or meet your results and just assume they're just supposed to know. Why do I have to tell them to do X, Y, Z? You don't have to tell them to do X, Y, Z. You don't have to tell them any damn thing. But if you want to communicate and tell a person how to please you, you should have that conversation.
That's right. And it's really simple, man. Give that person the same respect you want for if it was the other way around. It's really simple. Nobody's a mind reader, and I'm tired of hearing people talk about, I'm fed up with this, that, or the other, and you hadn't even had a conversation about
That's
this,
right.
that, and the other. It makes no sense. It doesn't make any sense. And the statement of, oh, this person is supposed to know, well, they know, you're making a whole lot of all these assumptions, all these they're supposed to know. That's not how real
They don't.
relationships work. That's not how people. Everybody has a different background. Everybody interprets things different. We talked about what men want, how, I could say one thing, but you interpret it a different way. So it's very clear that communication is needed, and you can't just make an assumption that this person should know that I'm putting them on the clock and I'm looking for these type of results. This person should automatically know this. And at a certain time, whenever I deem fit, I'm gonna wake up and I'm gonna say I'm done.
That's right.
And then I'm gonna say this person was a bad person because this person didn't do A, B, C, D, and E. This person was a bad father. This person was a bad husband, a bad wife, a bad mother, a bad sister, a bad brother, because this person didn't do what I wanted them to do in enough time, and they didn't make the effort.
Yeah.
Because I felt like I was doing more, and I felt like my efforts were more important than yours. So you should be doing the same.
And you should just already know what I want.
Exactly. That's the wrong mindset to have, people. We gotta be better. We gotta do better. And then, like I said, the real kick is that they even tell you that you don't even love them, that you don't care about them, that you don't respect them. So people who are making the effort, it's about you guys. Don't let people dictate how your effort should look. And if they want to put you on the clock, let them put you on the clock. It's not to say either side is right or wrong. You just need to make sure you're transparent about it.
Absolutely.
Just be transparent about it. That's what it's about.
From here, later episodes, we definitely gonna talk about some signs that you might be on the clock. I think that's something we definitely got to talk about, right?
I think that might be a show,
some
man.
signs. Yeah,
Being
some
on the
signs
clock.
you might be on the clock. Yeah,
Clocking
on the
in.
opposite side of that, the things that people do when they put someone on the clock. We're gonna talk about those things.
Ooh.
Because normally what that looks like,
those slick,
and I don't want to move into a different space. But all I'm gonna say is generally what that looks like is real passive aggressive little things.
Yeah.
Right. So we got
oh yeah, that little slick conniving little man, I can't stand
in a future episode from based off of this conversation about effort.
Yep.
But yeah, man.
Yep.
Only thing I got left to say is to wrap it all up. With everything we've talked about is, if anything else, understand that everything has a why. Before you jump to conclusions, when you don't get the result from someone that you expect, ask them why they didn't get the result. So you can understand the effort that they put into at least trying. I think for anyone, if you're in a situation where a person has stopped trying, you should ask them why, because they probably stopped trying because you don't appreciate their efforts from before. Like we've already talked about. Why keep trying if I don't meet the result? And you just gonna put me in this box of negativity because I didn't meet the result.
And like you said before, it's not going to be equal.
Yeah, that's a really big one. Effort is never going to be equal.
Even though effort isn't equal, if you have the right perspective and think about an effort in a positive light, it can be valued. It can be both The little effort and the big effort can both be valued and perceived as positive things equally.
Your more and my little, we both could be given 100% of what we can give, and that's where the value lies.
Exactly.
You know,
and that's where the value lies. Exactly.
But that's all I got on effort.
Couldn't have said it better, man. Another show, man. We appreciate y'all out here listening, and we're going to keep them coming. We're going to keep it going. We got another good show coming up that's going to segue this effort called Being on the Clock.
TikTok, being on the clock.
So stay tuned.